Hey guys, this is Random Gun Guy here. We're going to do a video. This is on the Cavalry, made by ATI. It's their newest over and under. It's been a great shotgun. For those of you out there who own one of these, it's a great way to get into trap for right around 500 bucks. It's a really good buy. I'll tell you, the Beretta Mobile Chokes are actually what work great on this gun. You can see here, I've gone with a set of Carlsons. They worked really good. I went with the cylinder model to give me a little extra advantage while out on the skeet field. I'll tell you, with the sporting clays, you definitely want to upgrade to a full or an improved modified choke. That's really going to help for those longer shots. But these cylinders, I'll tell you what, guys, they work great. They really do. So for anybody out there that owns the ATI Cavalry, again, these are the Beretta Mobile Chokes. Also went with the high-vis fiber optic sight. If you can see that there. Works really well. It came with a rear ring, I'll tell you, that goes on the vent rail like this. Not a fan of it. First time out, I'm glad I have my toolkit with me in my range bag, because that thing quickly came off. But currently I got right at about 1,000 rounds in her, and started having some failures with the shotgun. And you can see here, I kind of went through already once and figured out what was going on. So I figured I'd do a video on this for anybody else out there. One, there's really not a whole lot out there for the ATI Cavalry edition. This is new from ATI again this year. So wanted to go through and experience, or show you the experiences I've had with it. So the first and most important thing is the cocking rod. What I want to do is explain what had happened. This past trip out on our league, I shoot weekly on a league. It's about 50 rounds, but usually we'll shoot 100 every time we go. So I'd say I've got about 1,200 rounds in it. And so far this time, what had happened was one of these cocking rods failed to come back out, so you could re-engage the trigger. This is a single trigger that is dual staged. So one click pulls the bottom barrel, next click pulls the top barrel, or vice versa, because you do have a selector here, so that's kind of nice. It's a good advantage if you're out doing sporting clays. If the first shot's short and the second one's going to be long, and depending on what choke you've got in. I don't need to explain to you guys how that works. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there for that. But wanted to touch base on what was going on in here. So without further ado, let's get started into this thing and explain to you. Yeah, so for you guys out there that decide to go with one of these, since this is actually milled from an aluminum receiver, I'll tell you, this shooter pads, they make a great gel butt pad. It's just a slip cover. I'll tell you what, this thing kicks like a mule, and I'm talking low brass, 8-shot. Just it gets squirrely. So put this on there. It really helped with the recoil. Definitely reduced that. 100 rounds was more like shooting 25 rounds. So I'm new to this sport. So again, being new, these are a lot older shotguns. The style, the setup, wasn't really familiar with these. I'm an old military guy. The AR platform's more what I know than versus this. So it was kind of a history lesson for me. So the first thing we want to do is there's actually 2 screws here in the butt pad. Just want to take those out first. Okay. They're embedded down in the into the rubber, so you'll have to dig your screwdriver down into the actual butt pad to get those out, but no worries. I will tell you, the bolt inside is a 10mm, because ATI is actually an American company, but they import these guns from Turkey. So it being a foreign country, they're on the metric system. AES is only adopted here in the great United States of America. But one day we'll figure it out, and we'll get it. Until then, every American has to equip his toolbox with 2 sets of wrenches and 2 sets of sockets. So once you get this seated in there, and you can see here, I've got a 12-inch extension with a deep well socket. I have a orbital extension. It kind of helps because the bolt is a little bit at an angle. You can't see it with the camera setup I've got, but it helps a little bit. And you can see I got just a little bit left. So I'd say a 10-inch extension with a deep well socket is about the shortest you're going to be able to get away with. Because I really do like having those grips right there to be able to assist the bolt out, because when I'm working on firearms, you don't want to torque these things down because you cross thread it or over tighten it. Last thing I want to do is have to send this to a gunsmith or pull out my tap kit. So you can see there the bolt that comes out of the stock is quite lengthy in comparison to my 12-inch extension. So we got quite a bit there that we're working with, okay? So set this aside, you'll need that for later for reassembly. And once you do that, the butt pad or the buttstock comes completely off, and we'll set that aside. And then all you're left here is just with the receiver. When you get inside these, the mechanics are absolutely beautiful. To me, it's kind of like a 1911. It's simplicity, but yet it's an engineering feat for its time. I mean, you have to think about this. They've been running on this system since the 1800s. I mean, it's been around for a long time. So, well, maybe not the 1800s. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a historian. So, but I want to talk about the issue. What had happened was, so while at the range, again, like I said, I've got over 1,000 rounds in this shotgun. If you see here, what will happen is, let me get this in focus for you. Alright, so we'll back that out just a little bit. Maybe we can see a little bit more. Alright, so we'll zoom in just for the purpose of this. Alright, so what was going on is you have these two cocking rods here, okay? And when you break the barrel down, it pushes those in. So the other pieces I want to talk about is actually in the forearm itself. So when you cock the weapon, these two are married up like this, okay? Just like this. And the weapon breaks down. Now, when the barrel's in there, these ride in these grooves here. So they're riding. Let me back the camera out just a little bit so you guys can see us a little better. May not be 100% focused, but you'll get the drift. So these are like this. The barrel breaks down. But when it's down, these here ride and they move. They're internal. I have not been lubing these. I was not familiar with this shotgun or these platforms. So this is something you definitely want to note if you're out there, you know, and during maintenance and cleaning of your shotgun. Make sure you clean these and oil these. If you can see inside here, there's two serrations inside the wood. That's where the arm actually moves and pivots. And inside there, it's kind of like a weight, I guess, to make sure that it always returns. And you can see here mine are not moving very easily. So you can hear that, see that? They click when they return back to their home station. There's kind of a ball bearing in there that rides inside there. But really what it is it's a rod that's spring loaded on the actual track. So as you see me move that back, it locks back and then it locks forward. So you gotta really push it to get it to go. But those are really just guides for these cocking rods here on the end of the receiver. Might be a little difficult to see, so I'll try to put it up. Too bad my camera's not focusing. Not really ever used my DSLR to film video, so that's what I'm using. So thank God for the Canon EOS Rebel T3i. Great camera, love it, never really shot video with it, so we'll see how this works out. So when we're inside here, what happens is I'll do it manually. These hammers come back to the rear, and it's all driven by this cocking rod right here. So it takes quite a bit of force to get those to reset. And we can see here that on the safety, it just disengages the sear. So when it goes forward, it allows these sears to come back. You can see that there. There's the first one, and there's the second one, and there's both of them. So when those come all back, second one fires, first whatever you choose, and then the second one releases. Depending on the barrel you've got selected, when this is back, that's when you get your option. You go left or right. I'll tell you, it's really important. I would say just to ensure that you don't have any fails out on the range like I experienced, I would probably remove the buttstock. I'd say about every 500 rounds of maintenance inside here. I do have some gun grease that I'm going to go through and use this time. I had used oil. I think grease is probably the best way to go, but I think what I'm going to do this go round, maybe not this one, I might do a second video on that, but I'm known to notoriously polish my feed ramps on all my weapons, and I think that any time that there's a contact point, that should definitely always be polished. And we can see in here, this is some fine polished aluminum on the outside. I mean, you can see the reflection from the light above here, but this inside here is some raw steel. I mean, it's not anything that you're going to win a competition for looks on, I can assure you on that. But other than that, I mean, I will say that it's milled well. The quality's there. It's just the fit and finish. But it's a $500 shotgun. This is not a $3,300 Browning Centauri, or, you know, some of them, you know, $15,000 to $100,000 Italian shotguns you see out there in the market. I unfortunately don't have that kind of money to spend on shotguns. This was something I wanted to just explore to see if I would like as a sport. It was a hobby to see if, you know, or for something for my father and I to do. So, but anyway, it's definitely been a learning curve to get in here and understand how these older platforms work. It's not anything I'm an expert on. I just noticed there was no videos on YouTube when I went to go see if anybody had experienced one of these to fail to actually re-engage the hammer. And after taking it apart, I realized what had happened just by understanding the mechanics of it. So let's go through all the different points here. All right. And so show you what getting started here. I am definitely a huge component of the hops, or hopes. I do believe it's hops, but we could say hopes. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, never had any problems. This is some great stuff. When I was in the Army, CLP, it's what we always used. Break free. It's probably the most common out there. I like it, but I don't like it, because I definitely think that a cleaner is not a lubricant. If there's a cleaner in there, it should be some kind of degreaser. And you can't degrease something and lubricate it at the same time. That doesn't make any sense in my engineering mind. So for me, I use it on my AR. I know that's what the military uses, but I'll tell you guys, I'm just a component of each individual component should do what it's designed to do. And trying to engineer something to do everything all at once, I just think that's a lazy way to maintenance a weapon. You know, this is definitely a tool, and if you take care of your tools will always take care of you. So, you know, get yourself a nice clean kit. I mean, you're not going to spend much. I will tell you, I went out on a limb here and ordered some of this Otis. It's kind of like a knockoff CLP. I've had really good success with this stuff. This stuff isn't too bad. What I found that it's really good for is when I put it on one of my bore patches, it does a really good job of getting the carbon off when I run the bore patch down any one of my guns. It's maybe one or two passes, and it's like chrome finish again. It's nice, good stuff for removing carbon. But I do love the hops oil and their gun grease. Their gun grease I always use inside my components, trigger housing, stuff like that. Just had really good success with it. So the other thing I want to talk about is one of these silicone patches, again by Hops 9, number 9. Good stuff. I keep a couple different of these microfibers. This white one you can see, a little black. I use it just to, you know, handle the gun when I'm cleaning it, and then I have one that I wipe it down with. But once I get done firing the shotgun every single time, I do wipe down any blued component with this rag here. I've hit the wood stock with it a couple times. It adds a real nice sheen to it. But I'll tell you, the next time you go grabbing it, man, it's like grabbing something that's just been coated in grease. But that's on the wood. On the blue, it gives it that nice finish. It takes out the finger marks, and I really feel like it helps protect your bluing, you know, in the long run. So. If not, their marketing campaign got me, that's for sure. So let's talk about how this works and what was going on. So on any over and under, the first thing you're going to do is marry the receiver to the barrels. Then once the barrels are on, you're going to have to marry the fore end to it. And we can see here, that's the gun fully assembled, pretty much without the stock in this case. So this will break open, and we can hear that click. A lot of guys will be out on the range, and I've seen this with several people. Not your older guys, your veterans, they get that stuff. Again, new to the sport, so these are things I'm picking up. My father and my cousin got new shotguns this year, and if you fail to break these open all the way, it's like not charging a weapon all the way, or putting a 1911 on that first notch on the hammer. It's not cocked. You have to break it all the way until you hear that snap. And that is where we can see that these hammers have come all the way back to the sears, and they're grabbing. The sears are holding right now. This is at the point where we can select the barrel that we choose, because they're back, my safety's on, and now I'm allowed to use my barrel selector. So when we close the gun all the way, we're hot, we're ready to go. Now what was happening on the range was, and this is only after about 1,000 rounds, I'd say it's more around the 1,200 mark, regardless of the barrel I selected, it would fire one. So we'll dry fire it. I don't have snap caps in there. Again, I'm sitting a $30,000 shotgun, $500 shotgun. If it breaks, it's under warranty. I don't care. So the first one goes off. We see that. Here's where I experienced the issue. I would go to pull the trigger again, and it would never ever go off, because the cocking rod was only engaging on one of the hammers. And it was due to several components. One, this chamber in here that the cocking rod rides in needs to be oiled, which makes me, on this next video I'm going to remove all these, and I'm polishing every one of these out. The other piece is that I noticed all these in here were never shipped with Cosmoline, or they were never shipped with any type of oiling. When I opened this up for the very first time, it was bone dry in here. It was like the Sierra Desert. That is not a good thing. Any moving part should always be lubricated. If not, you're going to create friction, which is going to create wear, which over time is going to create it to go out of spec. When it goes out of spec, that's when you have malfunctions, or if not, some catastrophic event. But you can see here now, you pull the trigger a second time, it goes off. I've already fixed the issue, but I'm making this video because I want people to understand that these are great shotguns. They really are. For 500 bucks, if you're looking to get into the sport, great shotgun. Could not beat this shotgun for anything. You're not going to touch it. And I looked and looked and looked, but for $500, it's a wonderful shotgun. It's laser engraved. It's not hand engraved, but I'll tell you what, it looks beautiful. It really does. I've had people ask, you know, hey, what kind of gun is that? It's a beautiful shotgun. Or hey, you're shooting really good. You know, how much do you have invested? You know, I've never seen that model. Is that an Italian, German? What is it? And when you tell them that it's a $500 ATI, they kind of roll their eyes a little bit, like, I didn't even know ATI made shotguns. Neither did I, buddy. I found it on Gunbroker. I happen to work at a gun shop on Saturdays. That's how I ran across it, looking for a cheap way to enter the sport. Again, looking for a hobby that my father and I can enjoy together. So that's how I ran across this. I know it's new for them. So I'm not going to sit here and dog their product by any means. The other thing is if you can see it here, as I break the shotgun, you're going to see the hammers right here. And this is where it goes up to the firing pin. The firing pin is spring loaded. That, which was a weird situation, was that it was staying wide open. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. When I would shut the shotgun, the firing pin was fully extracted. And I thought that was a safety concern. Of course it is, because the firing pin's out. I'm loading a hot shell in, you know, an unstruck primer. As I'm coming down, is that pressure going to make the cap go off? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, as fast as you're opening and closing these, it's not a good situation. It's not a scenario I want to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and break this back down. And I'm going to show you how this should be done here. So I'm going to remove these components. Set these aside. Now when we're in here, I like to use a paintbrush. I go get some little detail modeling brushes. They're $5. You get like 20 of them in a pack at Walmart. Yeah, I shop at Walmart. Everybody shops at Walmart. If they don't have it, you pretty much don't need it. And you know, I'm sorry. corporate America got me too. So don't hate me for where I shop. But the thing is it just helps move, you know, the grease once it's inside this gun, or any gun for that component. So let's look at the firing pins. Let's look at the sears, the trigger assembly, the cocking rods, the hammers, and then the actual firing pins. That is where we want to put all the grease. Work it in really good with your brush. I'll tell you, the brush helps get in between all the components, and we want to make sure, because here on the back of the receiver is where the cocking hammers, or the cocking rods, push the hammer back, and these hammer springs right here, there's a metal rod, a guide rod for the spring. It extracts through the back. We want to lube this entire thing right here as well to ensure that we don't have a malfunction like that again on the range. So we'll go ahead, and I like to just put a little bit on the brush just like that, just kind of like you're painting a little bit, and we're going to work that in there. You just want to coat all your parts, any place that has movement. Get that in there. I will tell you, these are free-floating pins inside here. I can actually just push those out. I'm not going to, because I don't want to put this thing back together on camera and look like an idiot in front of you guys. This video is more about just the malfunction that I had experienced and what I've done to alleviate the issue. So, you know, I wouldn't get crazy with this stuff, but, you know, use it sparsely. You know, it's okay. I mean, do note that, you know, the more you use over time, that's more shit you got to clean off. I mean, it really is. So, you know, I just do a light coating of grease. Nothing needs to be caked on here. I mean, this thing, you guys, it's not rocket science. If you're already in the firearms and you're a firearms enthusiast like I am, you already know the more oil you use is just the more you have to clean at the end of your trip out. Now, you know, I think cleaning a gun is therapeutic in some cases. It's a daunting task, you know, and I don't know if it's more fun to have a clean gun or a dirty gun, because a clean gun's the fun I'm about to have, and a dirty gun is the fun I just got done having. So for me, I don't know. That's a debate, to be honest with you. So we're coating these parts with grease, you know, gun grease, not just any kind of random grease that you throw in your engine or something like that, or pack your axles with. You know, this is actual gun grease. It's a real product. You can look it up on Amazon. It's cheap. I think it's like $5. Nothing too much. So $10, you know, will fix the issues that I had experienced and that you may have already experienced. So if you have experienced, this is nothing that's the end of the world. Your gun didn't break. It's not the end of the world. You know, it's a quick fix. You just got to maintenance your weapons like you do anything else. Any machine has to be maintained. So we can see there, that was done quickly. Didn't take much. I didn't use a whole lot. You can see here 2 little indents where I squeezed. That's all I used, and this was a brand new tube. I just opened it in front of you guys. So, like I said previously, I had used oil. Now, where I do use oil, because you're not going to remove this every time, I would recommend that every time you break your shotgun down, I would go ahead and take a drop and run it into the cocking rods like that, and you'll see it soak up inside there, and it's going to run all the way down. I'd keep this steady, and if the buttstock were on it, because you're not going to take this apart every time you go out to the field. Like I said, I went about 1,200 rounds before I saw this issue. I would say 500 rounds is about when I'm going to do this from now on. So that means about once a month, because I put about 100 rounds a week through it, and that's at a minimum. Some weekends I will fire about 200. That's if I decide to go skeet shooting. A talent, if I could do both of those at the same time. However, I don't. So I can already feel here the trigger feels a lot better. It really does. Since we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and run a reverse trip of oil down the cocking rods and let those run down. I don't know if the guy who made these, you know, I really wouldn't say it's a manufacturing defect at all. I would just say really it's a user awareness that needs to happen, because I'm sure anybody is going to experience this. The second piece is the firing pins. There is a plate that can be removed. I didn't remove that because they are spring loaded. So I'm just dropping just a drop of oil down each one. And I actually have a second brush that I use for oil, and I'm just going to go ahead and work that just like that around the firing pin area. Let that soak up. It's going to get a little dirty there, not a big deal. We're just going to take our rag and we're just going to wipe the front of the receiver off. Okay, nothing major. Okay, and that's about it, guys. We're going to put it back together. You know, it's a quick fix. We're going to slide this back in, and we're going to drop our bolt in. You want to make sure that the bolt goes all the way down. Give it a little bit of a shake. When you don't hear it, that's a good thing. I personally do not start with the socket wrench attached to the extension. I like to get it on there personally and do it by hand, just to make sure that it doesn't cross thread. And you can feel it. If you got any kind of mechanical sense to you, it'll come about. This isn't anything, like I said, that's gonna make or break the bank if you mess up, you know, but you may have to send your new toy out for a little servicing. So, you know, there's about hand tight, and I like to give it just about a quarter turn more. That's all you need. You don't need any more than that. Okay, so she's tight, she's on there, she's back together. Go ahead and add our barrels back in. Marry those back up. Okay. Then we're going to add our forearm. Sorry. First video, guys. Don't beat on me too bad. Like I said, didn't find a video out there, so just making one for you if you've experienced this. So hopefully I tag it and label it properly. We hear the brake from opening the weapon all the way. We're going to close the weapon, make sure it's off safe, and I'll tell you, this trigger, after using that grease, is the best I've ever felt it. It is the smoothest, no grittiness. I would recommend anybody who purchases this to just go ahead and do this out of the box. And if you don't, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about with the grittiness, because it was good. I mean, what do you expect for 500 bucks? I mean, this thing isn't a precision shotgun. So, but I will tell you, it's definitely an awesome buy. And the problem's fixed. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on safety and load it back up. I'll tell you, it comes in a box. The other thing is I ordered one of these Sport Lock cases. It's I want to say 60 bucks, 70 bucks on Amazon. I think shipping was 15 bucks. It comes from Sportsman's Guide. Great case for this shotgun. Everything fits in there nicely. It's got everything that you could ever want from the perspective of, you know, portability, keeping everything together for you. The case is well designed, and I haven't had any issues with the case. But then again, it's a case. What issues should you really be coming up against? So, like I said, guys, this is just a short video for those who have experienced the issue that I have seen. Maybe you haven't, maybe you have. I know I've definitely put this shotgun through its paces.